You know what? I want to see a bunch of late game squares. I want this to go late into it because I know both of these players can get done with squares super quick. So letting it last just a little longer, I think would be super nice. But looking at the board that has just come up, I do see a lot of late game squares on here for sure. We've got some Midra that's very late. We've got some Leda and her companions that's very late. So this could be a very, very exciting match here.
Yeah, we're looking at Cell Great Katana +0. Most likely going to be a rushable square again by Blanks. Going to be seeing who's going to lean into that right away. And then maybe seeing some other rushable squares like Hanging Pot Bell Bearings, Kindred Cookbooks. That's going to be leaned into pretty heavily. The Spirit Ashes. Oh, sorry, that's not. No, that's Ashes of War I was thinking of. Spirit Ashes is not so fast. The Ashes of War, however, are very quickly, but sadly not on the board this time. Demi-Human Mariga as a center square is very interesting because she is really weak, but getting to her is the the time sink of getting to Cerulean Coast and getting all the way around to where she's hiding out with the rest of the Demi-Humans. I wonder how that's going to go for these players.
Yeah. She's also can be surprisingly tough sometimes based on all the enemies that are around her. If you don't do a good job of either getting around them or just killing them all off, it can be a bit of a disaster. There's not a Grace very close. I think there is a Stake of America, though, maybe.
There is, yeah.
So, yeah. So, but, very rushable, but also kind of can be a scary one. Deathrite Bird as well is kind of in that same area. So it might be something, it might be a strategy to go for maybe those two if you have the Cell Great Katana +0. And that's maybe a rushable diagonal, honestly. Acquiring a Leda rune is very easy. Kill 3 dragon bosses, not too bad. So I wonder if we might see that one, or perhaps a column 4. Again, has those 2 Hanging Pot Bell Bearings and the 2 Kindred Cookbooks. Good synergy, very rushable. And then the rest of them, very quick. Dancing Lion, not too hard to get to, and a Death Knight. It's just that early catacomb. So I could see this definitely going to one of those quick lines, or maybe both players see those and then block those lines very quickly. But definitely a lot of early squares that we might see.
Yeah, there's not too much synergy, however, going on this board. There's not a lot of like, oh, I can do this while doing this. There is a couple of them. Scorpion Stew with Dancing Lion is definitely a little bit of a synergy play there. You got Golden Hippo and 2 Hippos, but these are like very like short-term, I would say, synergy plays rather than more the long-term type stuff. You have Leda Rune and also kill 3 unique NPC invaders. For anyone that doesn't know, the Leda invasion on Hornsent or on Ansbach, whichever one you go for technically, but everyone kind of like leans towards the Hornsent one, just a little bit easier to access. She counts as an invader, and since we're protecting Hornsent, we can count that as a unique NPC invader as well. So that might be a little bit of a double up that these players are going to go for as well. And here we go, Fog Wall dropping for both players. Here goes the match.
Exciting start. Running towards Great Katana, it looks like, for both of them.
Yeah, I believe
Blank
so.
said it tonight, and Chris didn't. Is that right?
Possibly for like aggro reasons, like I mentioned. I actually think this morning versus the Blanks Aggie matchup, he made it nighttime as well. It's going to be nice to not possibly aggro the shades that are near the dragon, to be able to port out as fast as possible. Going to be able to get that sail off for the Great Katana as soon as possible as well. And I think after that, though, it's going to be really interesting to see who is going to pick up what weapon, because what might happen, because they're really tight and close to each other right now, is that both sell it and one of them gets to market. So then, are they both going to be
interesting?
Right. That's what I'm kind of curious about. Is like, okay, what's the options then here? Are they both going backhand blades right away? Most likely, but we'll see. Yeah, they're really in sync though. It's crazy.
Yeah, I wonder if either of them considers it like a trap square and would rather just take it and use it, knowing that the other person will sell it, and therefore they get to kind of have a stronger weapon in this early game and maybe get a few of the other squares a little bit faster instead.
Yeah, it looks like that Blanks here does go a little bit down the road, changing his lineup a little bit with the Great Katana pickup. Does get aggroed by some shades as he went past them on the road here. Chris are pulling like a really straight line instead. Not sure who's closer.
They are definitely neck and neck here, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, they're like, okay. Blanks does get to pick it up first. Oh my god, this is like a half a second difference. Oh, Chris's stream flickering.
Is it gonna happen? They're both a little flickering for me. Who's gonna get it? It might come down to load time.
Oh,
honestly.
Chris got
Oh,
it.
Blanks.
Oh,
to
Blanks didn't
round
even go
table
for it.
hold. He's not going for it.
He's upgrading.
So
wow.
yeah, I think Blanks did consider that kind of a trap, and he just says, no, I'd rather have the earlier pressure on a lot of other squares, knowing that I've got a good weapon and you don't have one yet. You've got to go collect another one. So maybe he makes up for that square difference by just killing a boss a lot quicker.
Yeah, very, very nice play there. Chris, first one on the board, does get that corner square, though, which we know from previous seasons. Corner squares and center square are high priority for a lot of pressure points because you get that horizontal, vertical, and diagonal activated. So that just allows you a bit more. Oh, my God. I have blanks twice on my screen. That allows you for more pressure points going into later into the match.
Yeah, those diagonals can be very sneaky. Like we saw it, especially in like the Parky Aggie match, where she just didn't quite catch onto that diagonal, and it really spelled disaster. So you want to make sure to see all of those potential lines, and blocking or getting some of those diagonal squares early is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, Blank's already having a potentially plus 24 Great Katana, and heading towards Tiolier here for that Grace is going to be a great momentum here. Well, yeah, as you mentioned, Chris has to go and grab a second weapon now because he just sold his first one, and maybe has to lean into backhand blades, but right now, not going for any weapon at all, just looking maybe at some other early squares they can get without getting a weapon, like the Hanging Pot Bell Bearings.
Yeah, that maybe the Kindred cookbooks as well could be an early one that you don't really need a weapon for. So if he goes for those two, that's a strong lead. If he's got 3 squares by the time that Blanks is working on getting some of these other things, that's a lot of pressure to have on the board already.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting to see what Chris actually picks up here. Blank's going for he went first for the Egon Grace, and is now talking to Tiolier.
He's talking to him now, which would be for
perfume.
What's he getting from?
Oh, he's just selling money. Oh, and then buying the bone darts for the Hanging Pot Bell Bearings. Okay, interesting.
Ah, of course. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Very smart.
Oh, and Chris dying to the Tiolier skip here.
Yeah, that is a tough one. Probably the toughest skip that is allowed in these bingo matches is that Tiolier skip. So, not surprising to see it, but hopefully he can get it the second time.
Chris's stream here having a little bit of issues. He is dropping frames, he said, so this might be a little tough on the broadcast here as well. He does miss the skip yet again. This might be a Twitch issue, as we've had that before. But looks like it is stabilizing a little bit here now. So if it does happen to where his stream does flicker out, just keep in mind that we might have to reset it. It's just sadly a thing that is beyond our control. Doesn't have anything to do with our setup. It's just more or less the service itself. Speaking of, by the way, chat, if you don't want to miss anything, the start of Blanks and Chris, there is ads happening in about 2.5 minutes here, and if you don't want to miss anything, you're more than welcome to subscribe to the channel or use Twitch Turbo, whichever works for you, to make sure you don't get any of those pesky ads during the matchup. Also, use a Prime if you have a Prime. That's always an option as well. And obviously, subscribing does allow me to keep running these tournaments and have a great showcase for all these players.
Chris does finally make the skip here, which is except, oh my gosh, he almost died right at the end of it by kind of missing the spot where you want to stand, but saves it with a nice backup, making sure to land somewhere, because if he'd fallen all the way to the ground, that would have probably been death. So yeah. He finally does make it down, and Blanks is actually going for the bell bearings. So Blanks may be catching up with some of those acquiring items squares. He also, I saw, got the Gravebirds, I think it's the anklets?
Yeah.
That are over near the Dragon Cave.
Yeah, we do have acquire the full Gravebird armor set on row 2, column 1 there. So that's definitely something that he's just like mini prepping because it's on the way. Might as well grab it. Yeah, it looks like that Chris is now making his way towards Fort Reprimand and doesn't have a weapon yet still. And I'm really wondering what he's eyeballing here that he's going to be rushing this first. Maybe it's money.
Ooh. Money for... What would he need the money for here? I mean, I guess you always need it for upgrading and for getting a little bit stronger, but I don't see anything sort of that directly relates to having that money here. No memory of grace with runes or anything like that.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe that didn't spend enough on stones that he could get at Round Table. Maybe he did get a full set of 24. I'm not too sure just yet. Or maybe, he knows he only has 26,000. For some weapons, 26,000 is not enough to get a full max upgrade. But it doesn't look like he's going for money here. Instead, he's going to go for that repeating crossbow and maybe going for hanging pot bell bearings now too, and grabbing the Kindred cookbook here right behind the forge.
Ooh, yes. So it looks like he is going for those collecting things. If Blanks can get this hanging pot bell bearings before Chris does, that could be pretty huge. Getting one of those squares back and Chris still not having a weapon, let alone an upgraded weapon, could really put Blanks in a great opportunity to basically take over whatever squares he wants and set up a lot of threats. So I'd say, yeah, Blanks is in a good spot, even though Chris does currently have that one square lead.
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to do a little bit of a double up here, going for hanging pot bell bearings and going for Kindred cookbooks as you get that one Kindred cookbook behind that forge, but then also gets another one at Prospect Town, and there's also a hanging pot bell bearing also in Prospect Town on top of that. So I think he's just trying to double up on the collection here and trying to pressure really that column 4.
Yeah, I do think that is a great play. I don't think it's going to work out, though, because I think Blanks, with that bit of priority on the hanging pot bell bearings, because he already has one, I think he's going to get it completed first, as long as he follows through with that. And so that, if he does get it, basically would block both of the lines that Chris had sort of been setting up. It's in that same row as the Celebrate Katana, and it's in the same column as that Kindred cookbook. So it would be kind of a double block there if he can get it.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very interesting to see what's going to happen here first for the sorry, Jesus. The squares. Yeah, I don't know exactly where Blanks is. It's so dark on his screen. Okay, he's in Morth Runes right now.
Looks like he's going straight to Bonnie Village to do the skip is I think where he's headed to right now. And I'm not sure. Is there a hanging pot bell bearing even sort of anywhere in that direction?
There is one on the way to Churchwater District near the Furnace Golem. But I'm not sure if that is close enough to where Chris might not be able to snipe it. We'll see. We'll see.
Chris definitely going for those two. We can see him now in Prospect Town, where he's going to get that second Kindred book, and Blanks is going to see that. Blanks is going to know that he's got that one hanging pot bell bearing, and so, it might turn into a race here for that.
Grabbing that old mother here for Blanks, going to make his way towards even more Churchwater District. There it is, 2 Kindred cookbooks. Chris quitting out here, not going for the hanging pot bell bearings, trying to port maybe instead.
Ooh. Interesting. I really thought he was going to go for that for the synergy there.
But... Oh, he is. Okay, he just ported right back to... Was that Round Table? Am I crazy? No, he is pointing back to Cliffside
back
Terminus
to
here.
The Road Terminus,
Just a little bit closer, I guess.
There was probably a slightly faster route there, but, you kind of make sure that you get the cookbook first and then port back the way that you are comfortable getting the bell bearing. Not a bad play at all.
Yeah, I think for some specific situations like this, too, it's like... probably know the fastest route, but then there's going to be some squares that maybe have you take a new route, and then you're kind of freestyling it in the middle of the competition of okay, I don't know what's fastest exactly from this point compared to when I normally do those routes. But yeah, this is going to be most likely a bell bearing pickup here from Blanks. Once you get up here to the left, there's going to be some wolves, and there's going to be a hanging pot bell bearing right there. Yeah, he's looking right at it.
Oh, yeah. So that should make it then 2 squares to 1, where Chris has the square advantage, but Blanks has that upgraded weapon already. So by the time that Chris does get his weapon upgraded, if Blanks can just get 1 more square, we are basically a perfectly tied game here. Blanks also having a little more map pressure at this point, and he does get the second bell bearing. A little more map pressure at this point because he has gone all the way through Bonnie Village, Morth Ruins, all of that area. So... I might give the slight advantage here in the start to Blanks personally, but they are very, very close.
Yeah, there we go. He's going to get rid of that repeating crossbow. Now going to swap over to the backhand blades. He did pick those up, and he's going to go and upgrade them now, trying to get ready for that mid game that's going to be popping up on this board very, very soon here. While Blanks is already on his way to Churchwater District, so he's got a huge map progression on Chris right now. Going to be activating a lot of these squares for himself, making sure that he's got the presence to move around the map if he needs to for any blocks or synergy plays.
Yeah, going into the back, this Churchwater District, it does get you towards Commander Gaius's pants. It does get you towards the Tree Sentinel duo. It does get you towards Given Iris of Occultation, if you want to give that to Queeline. But it's not... There's not necessarily a need to go here right now. There are a lot of other fast places that you could go, such as we mentioned Mariga, Deathrite Bird, Death Knight. All of those are kind of in different areas than this. So I'm not sure if this is necessarily the best direction to go off the bat, but it certainly does give you access to a lot of other things.
I kind of feel like, so Chris here, by the way, grabbing that one Spirit Ash for Reprimand, I kind of feel like actually the bottom left to top right diagonal is looking kind of nice here, where you set up the Ancient Dragon Man kill and then go for the Leda invasion, and then you have access to Demi-Human Mariga and the Deathrite Bird and the Dragon bosses all on the same line.
Yeah, if Chris does go for that, I think the only thing that Blanks kind of has a little bit of priority on is the Leda rune, because you can get to there from the back side of the Shadow Keep. But the rest of it, if Chris goes right for Ancient Dragon Man, yeah, he's got a big priority on 3 of those squares to the diagonal. That could be a very, very scary threat.
And you wouldn't even have to go all the way around through the Churchwater District like the way Blanks is doing right now. We do have Golden Hippo on row 3, column 1 here, so you could actually go kill Golden Hippo and get access to Leda Rune that way as well. But it's definitely, up to him if he sees these types of options. Diagonals are really hard to see and are like easily forgotten about, I feel like, compared to, just lines.
Yeah, you could also even if you get that that hippo, there's also kill 2 hippos on the board, so you could kind of set both of those up while you're setting yourself up for this diagonal, and basically just scare your opponent into a bunch of other lines that are not really what you're planning. It's just the hippo kind of on the way to some of the other things, and then you only have to kill 1 more hippo, and you've got that extra square that you can pick up. So a lot of actual synergy there that could form some very, very strong pressure.
Yeah, it looks like here now Chris going for that NPC Invader Ancient Dragon Man, going to be popping up here, and then maybe go for Ancient Dragon Man himself right afterwards. While Blanks just got a Shadow Keep Grace and is now porting back to go to Highland Cross.
I do wonder where Blanks is going to sort of go to next, because yeah, it does seem like that going around the backside maybe was a little bit of a waste of time for some of these earlier squares. He's obviously going to want it later, but as of right now, it doesn't set him up for too much.
Later or Leda could be one of the two. Yeah, getting set up here though at the very least. Going to be grabbing some Skidoo fragments as well. This could be really interesting depending on the choices here. There's a lot of pivoting that does happen, so us assuming that they're going to rush it, I feel like is not going to be the case.
Yeah, it does look like Blanks might be going straight for that Leda rune. He is talking to Leda right now, which would set up that possibility. So if he does that right now, that would immediately block off that diagonal that we thought was so scary. Chris could still get a lot of those sort of free-ish squares along the way, but it would not be so scary of a diagonal if Blanks goes for it.
Yeah, looking like he might be going for the Morth runes into Highland Cross, potentially going for that Queeline and the Church as an invasion, going for 3 unique NPC invaders. Could be an option here for sure. And then using the Leda rune as his like 3rd NPC invader could be, a nice little double up. But then again, he is really far behind. Maybe going for Golden Hippo here though would at least make up for that.
Yeah, Chris just now getting into these Morth ruins here, so definitely a little behind on that map progress. But yeah, as we've said, he's got progress elsewhere in the map, so this is very interesting. They're both kind of just setting up for things. I think Blanks is finally he's committing here to this acquiring a Leda rune. I imagine that's why he's going down this elevator. I can't really think of any other thing you'd do other than like go to the golden hippo from the back, and he might do one into the other. He might do both of those, which if he can get both, that's a good number of squares to kind of start out with here, while still having all this map progress into Shadow Keep.
Almost dies to that Fire Knight. Had to quit out really quickly on like 5 HP. This is going to play into that NPC Invaders now too. So Chris is going to know that maybe NPC Invaders might be contested from Blanks. He did already kill Ancient Dragon Man. It's supposed to be a nice play from Blanks where he's like, hey, you know, I'm showing that I might have priority on NPC Invaders. You should maybe not do that. But he doesn't know that Chris already is working on his second NPC Invader in just a moment here. Dang, Hordson just putting in some work on Leda right there. Some really nice NPC RNG for Blanks. He's got to be careful. Leda is one of the only NPCs who swings so much that she can hit targets behind herself. So you got to be a little careful there not to get tagged and, you know, get those backstabs in if you really want to.
Yeah, and it's something we might see later in the game, or Leda in the game, as Leda and her companions is there as well.
There it is. There is that rune mark. Chris sees that and is a little surprised. And immediately gets the Ash of War of Queeline in his face, which is a really strong Ash of War, really annoying to deal with. Has Rotten Sword Insignia, though, and now Blood's Exaltation, so he's got a really nice build going on with these backhand blades, which might slowly start to outperform the Great Katana when it comes to the late game.
Yeah, I am a big fan of the Great Katana, but those backhand blades, they do a lot of work. Those super fast attacks can definitely get it done.
Yeah, having the Black Wet Blade accessibility here for those bleed procs is definitely insanely useful. A really fast Queeline fight here from Chris. Going straight for more now, I'm assuming. Going to be killing that healing Kindred, or that dying Kindred, I should say. And going for that third NPC Invader. Very good choice.
Yeah, very good choice. Very fast. A lot of synergy even, because it sets him up for that Queeline for maybe give an Iris of Occultation later. And so, yeah, a lot of good things to acquire really quickly here.
And now we see Blanks now on Queeline as well. So he's thinking the same exact thing. Like, hey, let me go for Queeline and more to finish off that NPC Invader square. Does take a lot of damage here from Queeline, though. Doesn't have the full armor set like Chris does. And not getting the nice RNG of decent movesets from Queeline. He can be a bit of a menace, especially if he just starts spamming those jumping R2s. There it is, though. Queeline kill now for Blanks. Going to go ahead and go towards more now as well, which Chris is already working on. So this might be actually a really nice snipe from Chris, committing to those NPC Invaders.
Yeah, getting those real quick is a big deal. So I think he can get it here.
See, for more specifically, Blind Spot would be absolutely huge, by the way. Oh, one more hit should do it. There it is.
Oh, there it is.
NPC Invaders for Chris now. Oh, yeah, hold on just a second here. And yeah, there it is. Blanks is jumping off at the end to get rid of the invasion because he can't quit out, because invasions is one of the only things in the game where they force you to do the fight. You can't just leave it. So yeah, this is a really nice snipe from Chris here, getting their read and being like, okay, he went for Leda Rune, so he might be doing NPC Invader. So really bulldozing that square helped out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go ahead and refresh
currently
Chris
that
here,
one
though, too.
line on the bottom, the row 5, is, you know, a little bit of pressure from Chris here. He's got 2 of those. It's not a particularly fast line, but it's not that slow either. You can get to that Chief Bloodfiend. Rilana, of course, is very close. A bit of a long fight. And then if you can set up some priority on those dragon bosses, could be something he could work to very quickly that Blanks might not be expecting.
Blanks looks like he is maybe working towards Chief Bloodfiend right now himself. But Golden Hippo going to be coming out here for Chris.
Ooh, I like that. Again, the two hippos and the golden hippo synergy on the board. I think golden hippo is almost always going to be a good play, as long as you're comfortable not dying to it. He hits very hard. His hitboxes are incredibly large. You think you dodge them, but they get you anyway. So he's gonna have to be very careful. But if he can do it, the backhand blades is really good on hippo. He's got a huge hitbox that's easy to get all of the multi hits to connect on, so he can keep up those talismans for a bunch of extra damage.
Yeah, once those bleed procs do happen, his damage is going to go up exponentially. Just hopes that he doesn't get any bad RNG in phase 2 for a lot of those stalling moves, making sure that he can keep up that poise damage.
Yes, very good damage so far. Already the phase transition. That's a little earlier than I was expecting. Oh,
yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Gets impaled.
Yep.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, that can definitely just happen if you are not expecting him to transition and you are just a little too close, a little out of stamina. Say goodnight.
Yeah, that is a lot of damage, especially on low Skidoo. This is probably like a level 3, maybe 4 Skidoo level here on Chris versus the Golden Hippo.
Yeah, he is still doing very, very good damage, but the defense is not really there, so he has to play super carefully.
Looks like that Blanks is actually moving towards not Chief Bloodfiend here, but actually Demi-Human Mariga, as he's currently still in the Elac River, going towards where the Lightning Perfume bottle is and that Furnace Golem. I think it might just be eyeballing Cerulean Coast here.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of skipping the Ancient Dragon Man. I think the Ancient Dragon Man path kind of sets you up for more stuff, but if he's saying, hey, that center square is going to be a big deal, I really want to rush it, I don't have time to get through Ancient Dragon Man, then this does make a lot of sense. It does also, we do have kill a base game boss in the DLC, so that will get him 2 squares immediately. He could also go for the Deathrite Bird here instead. Well, not really from Cerulean Coast.
Yeah,
but,
he's not able to go up there to the Crimson Coast from here, sadly.
Yeah, another reason why I really think the Ancient Dragon Man play might have been better, set you up potentially for dragon bosses if you need, set you up for Deathrite Bird, but hey, Blanks has killed that Golden Hippo. That is one of the 2, and yeah, another quick square for Chris. 2 square lead at the moment.
Very, very nice. I do think for Chris here, maybe challenging that Chief Bloodfiend for that row 5 might not be the worst idea, since he did kill Ancient Dragon Man, having access to 3 dragons. He could go for Rolana right afterwards as well, because he already has the Highland Cross. Might not be the worst idea, but he is currently just going through Shadowkeep, maybe grabbing that first Grace, and just getting some progression towards Shadowkeep as a whole.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a very crisp play to rush one of the lines, but I think it really could work out if he decided to do it. But Chris, I think, generally tends to play a little bit more defensive, a little more make sure you don't get any lines as opposed to rush a line myself. But we'll see if he puts some pressure on there, because it could make a big difference in this board.
All right, yeah, this is definitely going to be a Demi-Human Mariga play from Blanks, grabbing that extra Skidoo level in this little cave here, and then going straight for Demi-Human. Should be a very quick fight, especially with an ice or cold katana. A lot of bleed and frost, or bleed and frost. Oh my god, yeah, it is bleed and frost. What am I talking about? I'm staggering myself for no reason. Should be a very, very quick fight. I just honestly, for the enemies here, the only one you have to take out is the Demi-Human Chief. Everybody else, I don't think is that big of a deal.
Yeah, when I've done a few practice games, I've tried to just run around and avoid him. It's worked sometimes, but definitely taking him out is a little bit safer.
Yeah. The just in case, especially for the early match, you don't have as many defenses. You don't have as much setup. So being able to get rid of just some of the potential damage is always just a better option.
Yeah, and as we can see, Mariga can kill a lot of the other demi-humans around, so as long as you kind of just let the fight go on for a bit, it will slowly clear out and become a lot easier.
I do think that actually this play might not be the worst from Blanks, because it does actually also play into kill a base game boss in the DLC, so this is actually a twofer, killing Demi-Human Mariga, blocking the column 5 here, but also getting him that center square, so it's It's not the worst. It's definitely not the worst
I
idea.
really, really like this square choice for sure. I'm a little worried about the map progression in other areas, but I do think this was a great square to go for. 2 for 1, pretty quick kill, not too bad. Got it in about the same amount of time as Chris took to get the golden hippo. He got over to Mariga and got her, so really not a bad play at all. I just wish he had a little bit more map presence.
Oh, this might be a little bit of a race here on Chief Bloodfiend now. Chris and Elac River, and Blanks just ported there as well.
I think we do have a race.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them
Both
recognizing
of them
that
know
row
how
5.
to get there. Yeah.
I think they.
I always
they
get
do.
lost.
It's a little weird. It's a little weird for sure, but pretty much after the waterfall, it's just like the left side ish. It is very hidden though. It is weird, like how hidden that cave is. Rivermouth Cave, not having a very obvious opening as some of the other caves do. But yeah, they're both currently going down Elac River or going up it, depending on the stream. I don't know rivers that well, but yeah. Gonna see how this is gonna turn out. Blanks popping some runes on the way here. I don't think his line is as direct as Chris's though, kind of going around pillars. Going past that dead body pile now. I think, what'd be really nice though from either of these players is after this, grabbing the 2-head turtle talisman. That is a huge talisman.
I recommend because they're going to be in a to get into blood them from behind. Great.
Okay, I think we're back. I'm sorry, your voice was really laggy there for a moment, but I think we're good to go. It sounded very funny on my end. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
But I think we are all set. Oh, and the pivot here from Blanks now. Grab the grace for Chief Bloodfiend, but didn't actually going for Rolana now instead. Alrighty here. This is gonna be a nice block.
I wonder why he took all that time to go there if he was just going to sort of pivot off. It seems like a little bit of a waste of time, but if he can get Rolana here, that's not too bad of a trade.
I think, again, this is like one of those things where like you do a little bit of progression and then you want to see what the other person is doing first. And maybe hopefully seeing a mark rather than potentially wasting your time. Because now, let's say that Chris is on Rolana and then Blanks marks, let's say Chris marks Rolana and then Blanks just gets this grace. Now he already has progression on the way to Chief Bloodfiend. So you can just pivot right away and not lose out on blocking, I think is the move here.
Yeah, for sure. But it's going to end up, sort of biting him a bit that he took all that time to travel there. And then Chris is right about to mark Chief Bloodfiend.
Oh, and chat reminding me, yeah, it is a Wendy's 4 for 4 right now. We do have 4 squares for each player. Woohoo! Very, very nice. There it is. Also, yeah, this is actually a
Not
Spirit
anymore.
Ash. Yeah, there it is. 5 squares now for Chris, 5 to 4.
I forgot that was a Spirit Ash. That is actually big for getting progression towards that. Those Spirit Ashes can be a little hard to come by in the DLC, so getting even just one more extra is pretty big.
And now Chris on his way to Rolana, going to be going towards that square. If there is a phase 2 incidence on Rolana like we've seen before on quite a few other players' fights versus her, words, holy shit, was that a sentence? This might be a nice little pickup from Chris again, but Blank's honestly really, really good at boss fights, so I'm not really expecting that.
Yeah, he was in that level 1 all DLC Remembrance bosses bounty from Distortion 2, so I imagine he knows how to fight her pretty darn well here, and he is doing a great job into that phase 2 so far.
Yeah, really, really strong fight.
Ooh, as I say that, though, getting a few hits. Don't want a commentator curse.
Does get the heal up here. The worst part about this fight is genuinely the phase 2. Chris's stream is buffering a little bit here, so he might be missing out on some of the action, sadly, on his end. We'll have to reset him here in just a moment.
Blank's getting a huge stagger, so only a few hits left for Rolana, and she could go down. Maybe one more Frost or Bleed proc. There's a Frost, so one more Bleed, and she should be done
Oh,
for.
wow. Backhand Blade's doing a good amount of work here, though.
Ooh,
Not
he
gonna
is
lie.
kind of catching up a bit.
Yeah, he just entered.
Yeah.
Should be getting... Oh, my God. There's another Bleed proc already.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he is catching up so quickly. And Blank's not getting very fast attacks. Is he going to snipe this?
I don't know. That is a really fast Rolana, though. Gets another Bleed proc. Blank's getting a lot of stall moves here in phase 2.
It comes right down to it. They're both
Wow.
like 2 hits away. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Blanks just needs 2 more hits. Come on. One more R1. Take her down. And Blank's got her.
Wow. That was insane. This is what I'm saying, though, with the
close.
backhand blades, is that they get really fast. They get really fast. That was a really close snipe almost from Chris.
Yeah, those huge combos. Rolana, like, the phase 2 seems to give you a little bit less openings, so I think that's why he slowed down a little bit once he got to that phase 2. But phase 1, he shredded through because he had so many openings to get huge combos.
Yeah, very nice fight from both of these players. Let me go ahead and refresh Chris real quick, because he did have a little bit of a oopsie tank there. Now it's getting interesting, though, to the fact where it's like, okay, we're both kind of blocking each other. This might be starting to move into the direction of majority. Chris now going for Bellerot, and his stream freezes. Nice.
Excellent.
Uh-oh. Okay, here we go. There we go.
So Blank's heading up the backside of the Shadow Keep. He might be going for Gaius's pants here, is what I could see. Because I don't see any real reason to do something like Mesmer here, so I imagine he's got to be going for Gaius. Or for the Tree Sentinels, which also is along that way to Gaius.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Like, this is what I was kind of hoping for, though, is that the board kind of splits the players up, and they make their, like, different choices amongst the same board. Just seeing like different priorities, different things that they are either just good at or just different synergies that they really prefer over others. I think Chris having a little bit of a head start on Hippos here, and then also being able to go for Dancing Lion and Scorpion Stew might be really nice, to where he can start blocking a bunch of things and really push that majority. Because I think if it goes into majority, this might be really beneficial for Chris, having already an advantage on Spirit Ashes and some of the progression on the board with Ancient Dragonman still being dead, and for Blanks not having that access. Blah blah.
Yeah, Blanks is heading here for one of those items, I believe, in the in this upward area. Is this a Spirit Ash here that he is he's acquiring from going up this elevator?
Fire
so
Knight Hilda.
that'll catch him up a little bit here.
Is this his first Spirit Ash though?
I believe so. I don't remember him grabbing any previous one.
So you can go for 2 more. You can get one at Fort Reprimand if he really wants to. There's a free pickup there. Otherwise, after that, not that many options from what he currently has.
Yeah, if he had gone for that Chief Blood Fiend, it might have made it a little bit closer. But if Chris is just not going for that right now, Blanks does have time for that if he chooses. Would be a little bit of a snipe with the progress that Chris does already have.
Yeah. I don't believe there's any Spirit Ashes in Bellerot here. Unless you kill Queen
None that I can think of.
And go for his Iris of Grace. But that's not on the board here either. Very interesting.
That being said, though, Dancing Lion and Scorpion Stew is another 2 very quick ones that Chris can get. So if he does get those 2, he'll have a very sizable lead. So even if Blanks does sort of snipe out that DLC Spirit Ashes, I think Chris is in a good spot to take that little bit of a lead in majority. And it looks like all the lines are pretty much getting blocked up. I don't see either of them really going for lines in this board. There are lines still available technically, but neither of them seems to really be prioritizing those lines.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is really, really interesting. I do wonder when Chris is going to capitalize on those 3 dragon bosses priority. Because I feel like holding on to that for too long might not be a good idea.
Yeah, I think Blanks has basically just decided this is a board where I am never going into the dragon area. I think that's why he skipped the Ancient Dragon Man when going to Mariga. So I think he's basically just saying, hey, Chris, if you want dragon bosses, if you want Deathrite Bird even, those are yours. I'm going to try to get everything else around the board instead. So it could be very interesting. Chris might know that and might be able to kind of save those for very late in the game and contest everything else.
I am glad to see more of the backhand blades, though. They do so much nice work on bosses. Already have 1 bleed proc here on the dancing line, going for a charge dart too. Should be getting a stagger here soon. Another bleed proc. Should be getting a stagger like right here.
Oh, there it is. Huge stagger. Take him down. Too easy.
Wow. Disgusting.
Yeah, those backhand blades are putting in way more work than I realized. They are shredding those bosses.
They're disgusting. If you are using the Kale, shop efficiently, you can get Thorny Cracked tier, which is the multi-hit tier. You can get the Dex tier. You can get Rotten Sword Insignia. You can get the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. You have so many things that really bring out the power of those backhand blades. And then also just on top of that, the bleed on them really makes them shine. He's going to be getting the incant here now. I think it's like Wrathful Spirits, Watchful Spirits. And then should be quitting out, talking to Mima again to get that soup. And that's going to be a nice little block on every single row besides row 1. So as soon as he blocks row 1, that's going to be majority for Blanks.
As soon as they both get something in row 1, this game is a majority forced game. All the diagonals are blocked. They both have something in every row except for 1 and something in every column except for 1. Well, except Blanks doesn't have anything in column 1 either. Still technically open, but I highly doubt that it will come down to that.
Although it does look interesting, though, because if Chris does go for Queeline here, column 1 is a lot of actually 2 of them are near a limb. Gravebird Armor Set and Letta are near a limb here. So if he goes for Iris of Occultation and having a preference on dragon bosses, he could kind of push this to hey, Blanks, you want to go do Romina and Mesmer? Because I can go take care of these other squares then.
That is for sure. So it might turn into a nice late game race, a late game rush here, which I would be all for seeing. As I said, I love to see us get into those really late game things and for them to decide the matches. And this might be one of them with those very, very late game squares there. But 2 of them in kind of the same area, so it actually might be worth going to Enir Ilim even before the very end of the match.
Yeah, I think Chris realizing here, by the way, he thought this was actually a DLC Spirit Ash, but in reality, it's a talisman that buffs you if your Spirit Ash dies, the Dried Bouquet. So I think he got that mixed up and really thought he was going to go for a square there. Sadly, a little bit of waste of time on his end. But yeah, Gaia's fight now here for Blanks. Going to see his flawless Gaius that he's been showcasing throughout this whole season. Really, really good fight. Going for that Ice Katana.
Yeah, no hitless on the board, but he might just do it hitless anyway, just to show off, because Gaius is one of those fights you can definitely do hitless. The Frost and the Bleed makes a big difference, because Gaius does have a ton of health, but also big stagger damage on the Katana. I love the Katana for this, because you can just kind of stagger him over and over. Let's see if he gets the close range dodge on the phase transition. I always love to see that. And it looks like he's going for it. Oh, yes, big punish here as well.
Very nice.
After the spin, I think he should just immediately get another stagger as well, so he should be taking Gaius down in no time at all. Oh, waits a little bit. That's okay. He probably could have gone for a greedy hit, but he did not want to risk it.
Very, very nice fight. Yeah, and there is Queeline here for Chris now, by the way. Going to be grabbing the Queeline invasions, working towards that Iris of Occultation, potentially.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a good play here, getting that. It shouldn't take too much longer after he's killed Queeline. He has gone, I believe, through the back part of Shadowkeep a little bit, so it shouldn't take too much longer to get that.
This is really interesting, though, because of the fact that he already killed the first Queeline for NPC Invaders, so he only has to do one of them, and he's already has the prayer room key to go towards Church Water District and give him that Iris
Yeah.
of Occultation. This could be really interesting, actually. This could be really, really interesting because right now Blanks only has one of the Quilines dead, doesn't have access to Bellerot, currently going for Commander Gaius' pants.
Yeah. I did actually lie, though. Chris has not gone into the back of Shadowkeep at all. This is actually going to be a really long running section. So, and he's not really going to get anything else for it. This actually, as much as the Iris of Occultation he had that priority on, this might actually be a mistake to go actually do it, because it's just going to take so much running that doesn't really synergize with anything else that he needs to do there. Except for, I guess, the eventual Mesmer kill, but he does have Hippo, so he didn't need to go around this backside.
I mean, I don't know. Tree Sentinel Duo is currently still up, and maybe Blanks might be holding on to that priority there, and then that could be something that Chris could lean into and snipe if he really, wants to lean into that. But it is definitely a lot of travel time just for Tree Sentinel Duo. I'm not sure if that's worth the time.
For sure, for sure. So it might be a little bit of a trap here for Chris, that this Iris of Occultation looked like a good square, but I think it's going to waste quite a bit of time for him. I'm not sure this is going to work out for him. Blank's catching up. Now it's only 7-6. Chris with only a 1 square lead. And now Blanks, is he going for the Iris of Occultation? It looks like he's heading maybe towards Quilline.
I think he is. Chris here also, by the way, though, on the way to getting the Occultation, does still get that Fire Knight Hilda that Blanks did and the Rafters. So it might still kind of play out because he does have 2 Spirit Ashes, that being his final one. So if he does get that, that could still be a 2-for-1 deal here.
Yeah, for sure. So either way, they kind of have some potential sniping each other going on here.
Yeah.
Whoever gets this Iris of Occultation could be in a great spot. Whoever gets the DLC Spirit Ashes could be in a great spot. So interesting that kind of both of them are very close on these, and we might just end up with races. Races in completely different areas, but both racing for those same objectives.
Yeah, this is going to be really, really interesting. I wonder if Blanks is going to really push the Iris, or just going to go ahead and kill Quilline and then back off and then go do something else, because he has been pivoting a lot. He might go for like a 1-part Quilline and then go for the Tree Sentinel Duo right afterwards to make sure that doesn't get taken away, and then go back, because that does seem to be a really common thing lately here anyways, is kind of bouncing back and forth. Chris almost already at the Church Watering Grace, and this is going to be really, really tight. It's going to maybe come down to who can kill the Omen Killer fastest for that Iris of Occultation.
That could certainly be it. I would give the advantage here to Chris. He's not that far away. I don't think Blanks has killed Quilline in the church yet, so he does have to go there.
No, he did. He did.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh. Then Blanks might have this, actually, then.
He doesn't have the Occultation,
he's
though,
teleporting
does he?
back to the church district now. I don't know if he does.
I
It looks like he does, because he is going straight for it. So either he does or he thinks he does.
don't think
This could
I
be
ever
a
saw
huge
him.
snipe.
Yeah, this could be really, really big time sink for Chris if that is the case. I don't remember him grabbing it, though. Unless I'm crazy.
I don't remember it either, but maybe we missed it. He did have his katana set up very, very early, so he could have done it very early if he wanted to.
Huge pickup here, though. That was very quick from Chris, getting that Iris right away, porting back. Yeah, this is... I really wonder, when did we miss that, then, if he did get it?
Yeah, this is a race of just a few seconds difference. They have to know that they can mark the square as soon as they finish giving it. They don't have to wait through the entire speech and him talking for forever. So if that's the case, it looks like Blanks has it right here, as long as he knows when to mark.
Oh, he doesn't!
Oh, he did. He doesn't have it. He didn't know.
Oh my God, that's exactly what that is insane. That is actually going to cost him.
That will.
Oh my God, that is going to cost him.
Yeah, there goes that square. That is a big square change here. It went from being a tied game to now Chris up by 2 squares. That is a huge swing. And yeah, Chris about to mark it right here.
Yeah, waiting for this dialogue, a little bit of Yap City. And there should be the mark. There is the Iris.
There it is. Blank sees it. He's got to be a little disappointed with that, but he's pivoting quickly here towards those Tree Sentinel duo. No, warping. He might be swapping out something on his setup before he goes, is what it looks like. So he will be able to get that. It'll get a little closer. He has this very quick square that he can get, but definitely Chris with this slight lead here on these squares. And as it comes down to a probable majority game, those square leads can make a huge difference.
So yeah, I think Chris grabbing the Grace here just for later to be able to access Mesmer and Romina if he does have to go towards Enir Limb for the Gravebird and the Letta Companions fight, I think is a good idea. He might pivot towards Dragon Bosses right afterwards, though.
Yeah, I knowing that he has priority on those Dragon Bosses, I'm not sure he necessarily needs to do it now. But if he does, you know, that is a good square to get and does pressure that column 1, which does then perhaps force Blanks to go into Enir Ilim, maybe more quickly than he would want to. So it could be a good play, but I'm not sure it's strictly necessary at this point. Blanks, though, making some pretty quick work of these Tree Sentinels with that Great Katana, getting some big staggers on them here and playing it nice and safe.
Thankfully, only 80 poise. These guys get kind of bullied if you've got a really nice, you know, poise weapon like the Great Katana. Oh, a nice bleed proc at the end there, too. Jesus.
Ooh, love that. Yeah, I don't think we'll ever see it in one of these matches, but if you do the Blood Fiend's arm on them, you just do like 2 charged attacks and they stagger, and it is pretty hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Really, really nice. Okay, Chris grabbing the Loft Grace here. I don't think he would be going for Tree Sentinel Duo. It seems like a really odd thing, but going for maybe that Spirit Ash that I was talking about, that Fire Knight Hilda here, and the Raft might be a really nice pickup.
I think that'd be a great play from him if he remembers it, if he knows about it. I know that's one that I often forget about, but Chris is a lot better than me at this. He probably knows. It looks like he's looking for the ladder.
Yeah,
but
he's looking for the way.
I think he definitely knows where to go, generally at least.
All right, second Tree Sentinel here, by the way, from Blanks. Almost dead as well. That fight's been going very quickly as the first one. Nice little slam down. Luckily, you know, having these be base game bosses, the fights are not too tricky and are very well known. There it is. Tree Sentinel Duo now for Blanks. Chris going towards the elevators now. Has to be a little careful here. Quitting out is not a bad idea to not have to deal with this Fire Knight. You can quit out and then just go ahead and duck, because this Fire Knight can be really annoying to deal with otherwise.
It looks like Blanks is heading for that Spirit Ash, so it looks like he's trying to contest. I think this is only his second Spirit Ash, so yep, Chris takes it right there. Gets the third DLC Spirit Ash, and Blanks has got to know he's got to quit out and get on to something else instead.
That's a
Chris
second
just keeping
snipe
that
here.
2-square lead.
Yeah, that's really, really nice from Chris. Getting that second snipe off, that is really, really huge. Let me go ahead and just refresh Chris, because that was a little bit behind for me. There we go. There we go. And now he's going towards Mesmer, so he might be activating Enir Limb here. And there it is, Dragon's Pit for Blanks. He's recognizing Dragon Bosses has to be taken here soon. I don't have any progress towards the southern region of the map. I have to go kill ADM and get priority on Dragon Bosses. And for some reason, Winged Serpent Commander just looking at Chris while he's walking by.
that is what the commander does tend to do. Just kind of stare at you.
Yeah.
I would love to see Blanks do the Dragon Bosses, do the Deathrite Bird, and then maybe just kill a Death Knight for 3 quick squares that maybe can sort of bring him back into this. And because after that, there is a lot of really late ones here. Chris still has priority on that kill 2 hippos. I don't know if Blanks would be able to really contest that. And there's kill a boss using a perfume bottle. That's not a long square, but it is kind of a tough or annoying square. But after that, it is late game. Saint Trina talk to you. That takes a forever. Midra, forever. You got to go through Jory. You got to go through those woods. Later in her companions in the full Gravebird set, you got to go through 2 extra remembrance bosses just to unlock Anir Illim for them. So, lot of really, really late ones left. And I think we are going to definitely see this match go very, very much longer than a lot of others because they just got to do late game squares.
Yeah, this is looking really interesting. I think Chris right now is going to be booking it towards that second hippo on the way towards Romina to get his second hippo for that hippo square. And then after that, going to be grabbing the Grace maybe for Romina, and because he just grabbed the Mesmer Grace and then poured it out. So I think he's just prepping a bunch of things right now and not going for Dragon Boss, because 3 Dragon Bosses can take quite a long time. You can go for Jagged Peak Drake and then the other Jagged Peak Drake and then a Ghost Flame Dragon. Those fights do still take a hot minute. So I think he's just taking that time to prep here and making sure that he's got an advantage on these other late game squares. Perfume Bottles still being on the board, not surprised. No one likes that square. It's a pain in the ass. You know, it's going to be really interesting to see who's going to buckle and start doing that.
Yeah, I don't think that one is necessarily that bad. If you can get an upgraded Fire Spark Perfume Bottle on Dane, I found that that's not too bad of a square to go for, but yeah, definitely not one that they are prioritizing at the moment.
And here we have Blanks now on his first dragon. He is really leaning into those 3 dragons as a potential block for column 1.
I would like to see him do Deathrite Bird after taking out this dragon. Personally, I want him to, make sure that he gets onto that. It would give Chris the information that he probably has gone through Ancient Dragon Man, but I think going just for those 3 dragons might be a little bit slow if you're trying to catch up in squares.
Really nice damage here, though. Double overhead stance, and then there's the bleed proc. My God, that's a fast fight. Overhead stance really showcasing why it's actually a decent Ash of War.
Yeah. Personally, I'm a fan of the Lion's Claw for the katana, but they both do a lot of work if you can hit with them properly.
The Lion's Claw is really good for NPC fights and stuff, but I have noticed for like bigger fights like the dragons and stuff, really trying to get those statuses off. The overhead stance with the R2 to get the triple hit off, to get the status of the bleed and the frosted proc is really, really effective. There it is, first dragon for Blanks.
For sure. Yep, he's a little lost on the direction to go here, but I'm sure he'll find his way. It looks like he is heading towards the dragon side. It looks like he's going for those 3 dragon bosses immediately, which, does sort of deny your opponent the knowledge that you've gone through Ancient Dragon Man for a little bit longer. So maybe he gets this, quickly gets Deathrite Bird, and then is catching up quite a bit. Chris getting this second hippo, which just dies immediately to backhand blades. That was quick.
I think it's actually the way to the Dragon Communion altar. He might go for Deathrite Bird first. Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
They look the same. They look the same.
Yeah, they do.
They really do. Those exits look very, very similar. He's talking to Hornston now. I think he's going to be maybe making his way towards Mesmer.
Yes.
It is 10-7 right now for Chris. Chris can kind of lean into the fact of like, hey, I just need one more square, and then I can just do Enir Limb for my last 2, and I have 13.
I love this play from Chris. I think if he goes to Enir Illim and gets those 2 and just knows I've got these 2, all he has to do is get any one more, and it's going to be very unlikely that Blanks is able to snipe every single remaining square on the board. So going for basically a strategy where you get 2 squares instead of just 1, I think is a great play here.
Yeah, he might be doing Mesmer here, then using the money from Mesmer to upgrade that fire perfume bottle. Go for Dane, and then go into Romina.
Yeah, now Mesmer does not have a lot of opportunities for huge combos with these backhand blades. Oh, but the bleed procs are just gigantic. You synergize with Hornscent also does bleed, so you can really rack it up super quickly. So you should get a pretty quick fight here, although maybe not quite as quick of a fight as if you had something like Frost, like on the Great Katana.
Yeah, but also backhand blades really good versus Mesmer because of slash damage. Mesmer is weak to slash here, so that's so much bleed damage. It's really working out well here. And that Rot Sword Insignia giving him that extra damage boost. He's got to be careful here. Just get knocked back by that phase 2 attack. He's got to be a little careful here. Nice dodges, though, from Chris. Does get through the rest here. Looks like Blanks is on his second dragon now, going for that Ghost Flame Dragon in graveside plane. Forgot the name.
Yep.
I had to rev up my brain there for a second.
Looks like he did set his weapon to Holy, which is a great choice because
Golly.
this Ghost Flame Dragon's so weak to Holy.
So much damage coming out from Chris here. Mesmer already down. Going to be making his way into potentially Dane. And yeah, Blank's knocking out this Ghost Flame Dragon. Get some overhead stance damage done. So much damage when you have that Holy Affinity. So much damage.
Yeah. Definitely worth going back to Kale to buy it every single time. It speeds up this fight so much.
And it's going to be good versus the Deathrite Bird on top of that. So this is a really good investment.
Absolutely.
Very, very nice indeed. Should get another stagger here very soon. It already has 2 charged R2s. One more jumping R2 should do it potentially.
Yeah, I do think the Ghost Flame Dragon does not take that additional damage in the head like other dragons do. So a little bit harder to stagger. You can't quite just like charge attack him in the head like twice and then get that stagger. So a little bit slower on the staggers, but should go down pretty quickly regardless.
Yeah, and Chris here, by the way, buying those smithing stones. I think he is going for that perfume play. Grabbing the perfume bottle, however, though, from Tiolier, getting that deadly poison bottle rather than going for the fire spark bottle.
Yeah, I can see that, depending on who he's going to challenge with it. I'm more a fan of the Fire Spark generally, but if something's pretty poisonable, that's not a bad play.
Yeah, not too sure. He has to have 18 Arcane, though. He does have 20, so actually, Chris can easily just use that. So yeah, this might be a really good idea. Deadly Poison does double tick more than normal poison. However, it does a third amount of the damage, but honestly, it's going to probably have just like some decent damage anyways on its R1s. So it's not going to be the worst. And Dane doesn't heal. One of the only NPCs that doesn't heal at all during his fight. So this should be a pretty quick pickup. But also, Chris now grabbing Somber Stones. Oh, because
it's a somber weapon. The poison perfume bottle is a somber perfume bottle because it's got its unique Ash of War where you poison everything in the vicinity, including yourself. So you need those somber stones.
Very interesting. Is that one of the only ones that's a somber one, correct?
It might be the only one. I'm not sure. I know lightning and fire are both non-somber, but I'm not entirely sure about frost or frenzy.
Yeah, me either. I didn't even think about that. That's really, really interesting. I think Chris just realized that too. He's like, I didn't even know. Buy a full stone set and then it wasn't even worth it. Oh, he's going to be using it on the Black Knight here. He's not going to be using it on Dane.
Oh, is he even poisonable? I assume he must be.
I want to say yes.
But
he is rottable, so he's got to be poisonable. Most likely.
I would imagine.
I wonder why he picks this over Dane, though.
It does have less health and is generally easier of a fight, I would say. But okay, he does get a hit there for it, but he's already, I think, got poison basically built up. Yeah, he is already poisoned, so now he just kind of has to let it tick.
Not that good on damage, though. I'm not gonna lie; these R1s are not doing a lot.
Ooh, Blank's getting kind of messed up by the birds here. It is very annoying trying to fight this Deathrite bird in the middle of a field of other birds, but he's cleared some of them out. Maybe now has more of an arena to fight it in. Still that holy damage. He hasn't actually gotten a hit off on the Deathrite bird yet, but once he does, there it is. Huge damage.
Deadly Poison procced yet again on the Black Knight Idrid. This is really slow. I feel like Dane would have been faster. I'm not going to lie. The R2s are like micro-staggering him, so that's at least very, very nice. R1s don't really stagger. Huge damage from Blanks here on this holy katana.
Yeah. Those headshots on the Deathrite bird do just so much damage. He probably needs maybe one more stagger, or he might even kill the bird before then. But, oh, huge explosion. Careful. Yep, that's what happens.
Oh, he's got to be really careful here. He's got 7 flasks left. He should be fine. But this is really interesting. He grabbed 2 dragons, and now he's going for the Deathrite bird, and then might go back to the dragons. But both of those squares is something that Chris is not even pursuing right now.
Yeah. But I do think it is kind of smart. Deny that information. I think when you're a little bit behind on squares, you have to take some risks. You have to try to build up multiple things at a time. So I do like this play here. But, Chris does have a huge lead, so we'll see if he can even make that work.
Yeah, getting some nice stag. Oh, there's an actual stagger on the Black Knight Edred from these charged R2s.
You'd never see that with the perfume bottle. I love that you get it. You don't even get to take a riposte because it's perfume bottle only, and perfume bottles do not have a riposte animation. But very funny.
Oh, the poison just finished. He does not. He gets another stagger, though. Gets the R1. There it is. Perfume bottles now for Chris. There it is. Deathrite birds for blanks. So now it's like, okay, Chris has 11. I have 8. What do I do next? Do I still go for dragons? Chris didn't even go for dragons this whole time. He got perfume bottles instead. Chris now going to be making his way probably towards Romina, going to be activating Enir Elim.
Yeah, I imagine Blanks is going to finish off dragon bosses, and then if I were him, I would go for Enir Elim, knowing that it's 2 squares and knowing that that's what Chris needs. But I think Chris is just going to go straight there and beat him to it. I think Chris is just going to straight up win because he is already closer to Enir Elim, and I don't think Blanks has any way to stop that.
Yeah, this is definitely a bit of a deja vu from last match between Adif and CBD, where there is 2 squares left. And yeah, what do you know? The player that has 11 squares is going to be going for those 2 final squares that require, a lot of map progress. And I think this is definitely the right move from Chris, realizing that he most likely is kind of blindsiding Blanks with the Enir Elim access.
Yeah, for sure. He's already got Mesmer down. He's already halfway to Romina. And yeah, if he just continues and does not have any incidents, which sometimes happens, he should be taking this W home for sure.
For some reason, Chris's stream is losing frames here really quickly. I'm going to go ahead and reset that, as we're currently not in a really heated moment at all. So let me just go ahead and reset that real quick for you guys. Make sure that we're all up to date. But yeah, this is going to be very interesting. I wonder, however, if there is going to be a pivot, because that has been happening when someone is ahead and so far ahead in progression, but they just don't know, and they're like, you know what, I got a little bit, let me go back. And it's like, oh, I don't know, why are you doing that? But yeah,
he is ahead enough. He could do that if he wanted to. I am. Let me tell you, I'm really not a fan of the constant pivots that a lot of players do. I know it works out for a lot of the really good players, but I think we saw that about 3 or 4 times from Blanks here, where he got some progress towards the square, pivoted towards something else, saying I'll come back later, and got it taken from him. So I would really love to see these players finish out a lot of these squares. I think it tends to work out very well if you just take all the squares that are given to you, and if Chris does that, he will win here.
Yeah, looking really, really, really good for Chris right now. Pod room now for Blanks. I think he's like realizing, okay, I might have to progress a little bit here towards Enir Elim, and maybe try and block. Although he is a little bit behind already with not having Mesmer killed compared to Chris, but still potential. Who knows?
Yeah, there's always time for possible incidents. There's time for just, Blanks has amazing kills on all the bosses that really, sets him ahead. But, it's going to be a hard fought, but we'll see if he can make it happen.
Alrighty, and Chris also, by the way, taking out Hornsent already with the Mesmer fight. He doesn't have to deal with Mesmer then, or sorry, with Hornsent and the Leda and her companions fight. Or making it easier for himself there as well, saving a lot of time.
He does get invaded by Hornsent here, but whatever. It's just a little extra running. He's not even grabbing the Grace.
I think it's just pushing Hornsent out of the world
Oh,
first.
he is pivoting.
I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah, you called it. You called it.
What a goober.
What a goober.
Okay.
Where is he going? Is he going... North Ruins? Is he going to do a Death Knight? Or wait, what is he going for here?
Maybe just some Skidoo levels.
Could be. Honestly, if you feel like you're far enough ahead, trying to avoid incidents with some Skidoo levels, could be a decent play.
Otherwise, yeah, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, this is obviously not the path to St. Trina, Midra. No dragons over here that I can think of.
He's grabbing the Gravebird armor.
Oh, the Gravebird armor, so that when he's in Enir Elim, he can get them both right away. Of course. That's yeah, very smart.
That makes way more sense. I was really confused for a second there, for sure. I was like, what is he doing here? This is really weird. That makes way more sense, though. Grabs the anklets. Already has the bracelets from the Egon Grace. Already has the 2 parts. Just needs the chest piece and then also the headpiece. The headpiece being an Aenir limb and the chest piece. There's 2 of them, depending on which one you go for. If he continued this way, in Ancient Route base, there is a chest piece. Also, there is one in Graveside Plains. So whichever one you go for works.
Yeah, I imagine the Gravesite Plain one is what he's going for right now, and it's pretty quick to grab. So I'm quite a fan of this. And then if he makes his way through Aenir Ilum, and Blanks has pivoted off of his pivot. He was pivoting closer to Aenir Ilum, but now he's back to dragons. So if he finishes off this fight, he will have his 3.
Kind of silly, these pivots, but also, you know what? Sometimes necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But here we go. He's trying to take out his 3rd dragon, and this is honestly going to confirm to Chris, like, all right, I made the right call. I am not contested. I should be able just to go for these Aenir Limb squares once he gets this dragon square.
Mm-hmm. And with that, Chris will have all the information he needs to win as long as he can just execute on these fights.
Chris does not know where the chess piece is. Bro, I swear, Chris... What a guy.
If Blanks wins because Chris just can't find the chess piece, that would be cinema.
This is honestly kind of funny. I think he's going to Ancient Route base now.
He's going back to Ancient Route base. He poured it away, and now he has to go back because that's the one where he knows where it is.
That is kind of funny. All right, we're going back to Ancient Route, chat. Get ready. Buckle up. We're in for the long ride. Overhead stance here. Look at that. That is just nice. That is genuinely nice. The double overhead into the riposte.
Wow, still gets the riposte. 2 overheads. Wow, that is huge, huge, huge damage.
That is really nice. That was like 12,000 damage there with the status proc.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
It's almost got the Jagged Peak Drake. Wow, he even gets another stagger.
Wow.
Too easy to bring it down.
There it is. That is 3 dragons.
Hmm?
Very, very nice.
Yeah, now they kind of both know that it's going to be a rush to Aenir Ilum, where if Blanks can snipe away the Aenir Ilum, they're actually perfectly tied 11 to 11. But if Chris gets in there first, gets both of those Aenir Ilums, then the game is just over. So even though it is, a 2-square lead, it really is only kind of a 1 objective lead. Once you get into Aenir Ilum first, you're probably going to have both of those, and the squares are going to come one right next to the other. So
this is nuts. Very silly. Very, very silly. But yeah, this is where it's showing that map progression is king for sure. And like getting even like just early map progression and just constantly making sure that you have other access to the map to just make, if you have to pivot, is there, just so interesting to see it play out multiple times in many different matches with different players. It always comes down to, do I have access?
Yeah.
And then that kind of defines the rest of the match.
Yeah, because both of these players have been playing just so well. Like, there's been, I could count on one hand, the number of deaths that each of these players has, because they have just been playing so well. And I don't even really remember if either of them have really died. And it just came down to, some of those decisions for map progress that led into later squares that you don't really think about at the very beginning, where they seemed so evenly matched, but just the choice of squares leads to some of these later game squares going Chris's way, and he's got that advantage.
Chris doesn't know where the Gravebird armor is.
He does not know.
There's no way.
I would love to see Chris get Leda, not get the Gravebird armor, and then have it be like a race here at the end with Blanks getting Gravebird armor. I think that would be...
He got it.
Oh, he found it. He found it.
He found it. But my God. I am shocked. Again, this is like talking about the beginning, right? Where it's like with speedrunners and mini bosses where, if you are set to doing only very specific bosses for your speed run, and all of a sudden you're playing bingo. You're like, dude, I've never had to deal with like balls. I've never had to deal with what's another one that it's kind of like random that people don't really fight. Bofa twins. You're like, oh, I don't do those in speed runs. Like, how is like, why do they do so much damage? How am I supposed to kill these guys? It's like with Chris, he knows bosses so well, but when it comes to item locations, he just doesn't know. And it's interesting to always watch in bingo where he's like, yeah, this execution is amazing, but man, where are these shoes? I don't know where these shoes are.
Now he is basically down to just the bosses left, so this is where Chris does shine, so we should see him do pretty well. He's fighting Romina very well, getting those lovely sort of strafes on some of those big attacks for huge openings.
Oh, nice stagger.
Yeah. Riposte is huge and lets him run away for the phase transition without getting
so much
hit.
Damage.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. You know, it's also nice here, by the way.
One more stagger and gets her.
Is the dancing lion helm does reduce the healing of the flask, but because Chris opts in to buy that Crimson Seed talisman in the beginning of the game, it kind of counteracts actually the dancing lion headpiece.
You know, I never would have thought of buying that talisman, but yeah, you're totally right. Makes up for it here. This stagger should do it. No, he misses the riposte. Just a few more hits though. He's got her.
Dude, so much damage. Dude, I'm telling you, backhand blades. Once you commit to the backhand blades and have a build around them, they do so well.
Yeah. So when are we getting sell backhand blades plus 0?
Dude, I know.
When are we nerfing this one?
I know. Well, the thing is, like with the Great Katana, if you have cold on it, it's already strong. With the backhand blades, you have to have a full build in it. You have to really economically like invest into it to make it good. And I think that's like the big difference between the two. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it does really good damage. It's so strong. Okay, looks like that Blanks is actually going for have Saint Trina possibly talk to you.
Ooh, that I don't like this choice, but you know, he kind of has to guess on things. He kind of has to guess on where Chris is going and try to snipe him. So, you know, any guess is technically just as good as any other for thinking where Chris might be going.
I think, yeah, for Blanks, it's like the last thing that Chris marked was kill a boss with a perfume bottle. That could be anything. And
it could be anything.
And so Blanks is like literally no information on Chris's late game plan. And this, yeah, it's a tough guess for sure. But I think realizing, again, just like with last game between CBD and ADEF, it's like those last 2 squares is all he needs. So most likely he's going to push those last 2 squares, you know, and getting that read going. But maybe, you know, for Blanks, he doesn't see that.
Yeah, I would love to see Blanks contest Enir Illim. If he didn't do that, I'd love to see Death Knight, because I think that would have been quite a bit faster than this play. I think, yeah, betting that Chris is going to Putrescent Knight and that you can snipe it doesn't feel like a great bet to me. It doesn't feel like the play that most players would be going for. So I'm not a huge fan of this, but you know, at the end of the day, when you're behind, you got to take some risks. You got to. Oh, he's pivoting. Never mind. He's just getting some progress and pivoting.
Classic, classic, classic.
Classic.
This season could be called Bingo Season 4 Too Fast to Pivot, because that's what's happening. Genuinely just insane how much pivoting has been happening in the last just 3 days. But it makes sense. You know, the strategy of Season 2, honestly, was mind games galore. The strategy of Season 3 was, honestly, great communication and just bulldozing lines. Bulldozing lines was number 1. And for Season 4, it is going to be pivoting and making sure that every single option is open to you. Making minor progress towards squares to see what the information is, what information you're getting from the board. So it's always really interesting how like the mentality and the meta shifts on strategies for each season as well.
Definitely. It feels like, you know, each one is sort of an evolution as you try to counter what the previous season's meta was, but then people counter your counter to the previous, and it is always good to see.
It's fun. It's like, you know, I kind of explained bingo formats is kind of the same thing. Like when there's a new speed run for a game. Oh my God, Chris dying to the birds here.
Oh,
getting absolutely obliterated. That bird paid bodyguard. But yeah, it's like when a new speedrun comes out and then everyone's kind of like theory crafting and finding a meta route. it's the same with bingo. You know, there's a new format that comes out, and then people figuring out, okay, like what's the best way to go about all of these squares? What's the best build? And like I could nerf, I could ban whatever I want. They're gonna find the next best thing. You know what I mean?
For sure.
You could have sell Great Katana. All right, I'm gonna use this then instead. Now that's meta. All right, I'm gonna ban that too. All right, well now this is meta. You know, there's always gonna be a meta of some sorts, and it's just something that's unavoidable. You know.
Blank's taking down Romina here, so I don't think he has Mesmer yet, so he doesn't quite have access to Enir Illim, but he is getting closer. If Chris ties, you know, like 5 more times to birds, maybe we've got a game.
Potentially, but I think also Blank's marking those dragon bosses. I think Chris knows that he is definitely in the lead here for Enir Illim and doesn't really need to pivot around anymore as much as the way Blank's is, trying to see like what progression he has to go for. As Blank's now is currently in Graveside Plains.
Chris going for the slightly slower, he doesn't know the sort of quick jump down to the Gravebird helm, but that's he's on the wrong side as well. He didn't... he missed it, but he'll still get it here.
Again, item knowledge here for Chris. Still gets it though. He does mark it here. I'm gonna reset again on the stream here because I'm a little behind, but does get that armor set. There we go. Very, very nice. So now this is gonna tell for Blanks. All right, it's pretty much it's over. Like I can't get to Enir Illim. I can't get to Letta that quickly.
Yeah. It might be honestly an interesting strat from Blanks. No, I think he still has to go for it because he knows Chris is there. But I was wondering if he could just like hope that Chris has a ridiculous incident on Leda and just go for everything else. But even then, that's not really a winning play because at some point you have to contest Leda.
Yeah, or it could just be hoping that Chris does pivot. Like the way he has been. And they're like, oh, maybe Chris just doesn't go for Letta. Who knows?
That honestly would almost be a really big brain play from Chris to not do Leda. And because all he needs is one square, any other one, and just say, hey, Blanks, you got to come get Leda, even though I was further in.
Yeah.
Could be an interesting play from Chris, but it looks like he's just going to finish out Leda, which he knows he's ahead on, and take that win.
Very, very nice. It's going to be Mesmer here now for Blanks. Going to be entering the Dark Chamber. But for a Dark Chamber, there is a lot of light.
There's so many candles here. Yeah.
Gets blasted by the Mesmer Orb.
Yeah, not the best start to the fight, but luckily it doesn't kill you, so it's not the worst. Almost got frame trapped, but manages to get the dodges. Not the usual combos that you see from Mesmer. He's being a little wacky here this time.
It's very interesting. Oh, okay.
The
nice
Frost
dodge.
proc, huge though, and the big stagger.
Very, very nice.
Yeah, it would have been nice if he had the Horn Scent here to help him with the bleed as well, because the Great Katana by itself does not do an incredible amount of bleed, but he should have the phase 1 down here with just one more hit here.
Nice. And there was a bleed proc at the end of that too.
Let's see how he handles the phase 2. It's a little bit scarier because some of the attacks do a lot more damage. Oh, the double hit with a stagger. Oh, that is.
Damage.
Oh, you have to ban that. You have to. That is disgusting.
That was so much damage.
Oh, wow. It takes him out quick.
That was literally like no attacks happen in phase 2. That was
and he does summon
ridiculous.
Horn Scent at the end here. So he had Horn Scent available, chose not to use him during the fight, but will still talk to him here to get him out of the Leda fight. But I don't know that he's going to get a chance to get there before Chris wins.
I didn't realize I had Chris sound on this whole time. But Chris currently in the Leda fight now. This is going to be a really, really quick fight, most likely with the backhand blades. Dane is already down, is already dead. Chris switching over to the Lord Blood's Exaltation Talisman. Going to be getting those really nice like side strafes on Leda. Oh, gets smacked in the head. Nathan, help out your boy. He's having a little bit of a hard time.
Come on, Dan, take her down.
Double Verduvia. Oh my god, the bleed procs. There it is. Leda gets a kill. I mean, sorry, not Leda. Chris gets the kill on Leda. There it is. GG's. 13 8-9 versus Blanks. GG's to Chris.
Amazing match. So well played by both of them. Honestly, back and forth. Chris just had a few of those early square leads that kind of snowballed into getting to do whatever he wanted in the late game.
That was a really nice game. That was definitely much a trade for trade on squares in that mid game, and then Chris just finding that really strong line of column 1 a little bit sooner than Blanks did, and then pushing for that right away. I'm gonna go ahead and see if they are ready for their interviews. If I can type, there we go. We'll go ahead and move over into the post game screen and see if they are both ready to do some yapping on this board. Very nice matches today, though. Very, very nice matches. All right, looks like Blanks is already set. Okay, Chris is ready as well. We're bringing Chris here first because he's the Dubski, the winner. Chris, welcome on in, man. GG's, dude.
Yo, thank you.
Very interesting board, man. A lot of back and forth in the early game and / mid game here. What are your thoughts on the match?
Yeah. I'm pretty happy with how I played, except for not knowing where the bird chest piece was at the end. I'm sure you were mauling about that.
Oh no, I was just making fun of you.
Right there.
We're just making fun of you. It's fine.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It is like around there somewhere by the dragon, right? Like
I think so. Yeah, I think it's farther in the back. I think it's behind the lake.
Oh, okay.
I think it's behind.
I honestly
the
don't
lake.
even know. So
I'm gonna go look.
I'll make fun of you anyway, though.
Yeah.
How
I was thinking
the,
maybe I should just go get the winged one because I know where that one is. But I was like, well, it's technically faster just run from here. But I guess it wasn't. But yeah. But yeah, I saw that there was the Mariga Center Square with the DLC or like base game boss in the DLC, right? And like, yeah, that looks appealing, but I think it's just a trap because it just puts you so far away from the map to like rush it. Like, sure, you get center square and stuff, but like, it doesn't really matter because it's just that's like all you get. Maybe talking to Saint Trina, but that's so much more time commitment.
Okay.
So I knew if I just left that open, he would probably go for it and be like baited to go for it, and he did. And so that just gave me so much reign over just like the rest of the mid game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we kind of talked about that a little bit as well. I'm going to bring in Blanks in here as well real quick.
Sure.
GG's Blanks, welcome in, dude.
Yo,
GG's Chris.
We're currently talking a little bit about the early game / mid game and the demi-human Mariga kill a base game boss play. Why was that a play that you considered early to mid game-ish as a combo?
So I saw there was like a high prio on getting to the Shadow Keep as well, so I wanted to like kind of split between Coast progress and the Shadow Keep progress. So I decided to go for the first bell bearing in front of ADM, grab his cave, and then I saved the Pillar Path Waypoint Grace just so I can go back later and go through Elec River. And I was able to get that Elec River Grace, and I set up both Chief Bloodfiend, and then I went towards Mariga. Just because, you know, center square gives you like a really big advantage in terms of like your options and whatever. I don't know if that was the correct play though, because I could have maybe lost out on Lita, because Lita was like, I had my eye on Lita. Like there was like, I was like, there's no way I get Lita, Demi-Human, and Bloodfiend. Like I feel like one of those gets sniped away. So I wasn't sure if that was the correct play, but I think that I'm pretty satisfied with how the early game went. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it was a very strong back and forth between both of you. And Blanks, you, by the way, immediately actually upgraded the Great Katana rather than selling it. Was that something like you just knew that Chris was going to go and trying to rush and sell that? Or was it just more of a comfort pick of like, hey, I did sell it last match, but I want to like lean into using the Great Katana this match?
I mean, it's more so just a read on Chris himself. Like I know he likes that square. Also, it's on a diagonal, so it's in like a good spot. So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna like contest this. I'm just gonna like, you know, like I said, I set up the pot bell bearing.
Yeah.
I was looking at that diagonal, the top left, bottom right, and I kind of thought to myself, like, I'm okay with giving up the Great Katana square because I can like make up for it with having, you know, better boss fights or whatever. Like, I mean, at this point, they're pretty much even, like backhand blade fights and Great Katana fights. But I personally prefer the Katana. But yeah, that's kind of the reasoning there.
Nah, super fair. And Chris, I mean, strongly leaning into the Great Katana, into backhand blades. I'm assuming that was something that you're kind of aiming for from the very beginning.
Yeah, I don't think I should have gone back for the backhand blades immediately, like after. I should have done some more because I think I could have got the pots, or I mean, if I didn't like die like 3 times doing the Tiolier skip. We don't
Yeah.
talk about that though.
Yeah.
I probably would have got that too, but um, yeah, it happens. Um, yeah, I was saying earlier before you joined, Blank. I think the going for the Mariga and base game DLC boss is just like a little bit of a trap because sure you get 2 squares and the center, but it's just so far out of the way compared to everything else. And so I like because you did that, I was able to just get so much more in the map like elsewhere. At least
Yeah,
that's what I felt.
I feel like Mariga is definitely more of like a mid game play. Like I feel like doing it that early wasn't super fantastic for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you were able to get invaders as well, which was like it kind of killed my diagonal. once you
Yeah,
got
just
invaders.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, that was a pretty
Yeah.
big pickup for sure. I do think, however, also like acquiring Leta Rune for Blanks kind of showcased to Chris that he has to like bulldoze unique NPC invaders like as soon as
Mhm.
possible.
Yeah, because I
Um,
was going for it like a little bit, and then when I saw that, I'm like, okay, I need to go kill Queeline and more to finish it off
Yeah,
like, right away. So yeah.
yeah. So that was definitely a little bit of a tough setup. The switch here though from Chief Bloodfiend to Rolana here, Blanks, was that just because you wanted to make sure like, hey, in case I know I'm racing him for row 5. I'll grab the Chief Bloodfiend Grace and then I'll swap over to Rolana just to make sure that I don't get sniped on the
yeah,
pathway. Was that, I'm assuming, the thought process there?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like back to what I said before about Mariga. Like I said, there's no way I get Mariga base game and Chief Bloodfiend, so
Yeah.
I set him up and then I went for just like a block on the column 2 and the row 5 because I just wanted to
Yeah.
block that because that was a pretty strong threat.
Yeah.
If I had a better fight in Rolana, I think I would have got that. It was pretty fast up until like the end. I kind of fucked up a bit.
It was
but,
really
yeah.
close.
yeah,
It was really close
it
between
was
you
pretty
two.
It was probably like 5 to 10 seconds even
Wow.
after like messing up. So
Yeah, I mean, Blanks' phase 2 was a lot of delaying from Rolana. She was doing a lot of bad moves for him as well. A lot of bad RNG there. All right, yeah. When it comes to Mitch, sorry, I'm taking all the questions here. Mitch, if you have any questions, obviously jump in too.
Oh yeah, no, I love the questions you got, so I'm happy to have you do them. But I was kind of wondering for Blanks the Iris of Occultation. I thought it was an interesting choice by you to kind of go for that. Yeah, I know there was some stuff with it, but just
I
What
could have
the
happened?
gotten
choice
it,
of it
dude.
I thought was weird because Chris had clearly shown that he already was in Belurat, so I thought it interesting that you went there and tried to kind of snipe him on it.
Yeah, I think at that point in the match, I think Spirit Ashes was still up. So I said, I said to myself, I'm like, I need to make a choice between Occultation and Ashes because I already had a Fire Knight Hild. So I was gonna either do Occultation or Ashes, and I chose Occultation, and I didn't even kill the Omen Killer, so I didn't have it.
Yeah.
I got the Queeline, didn't have it. So
Yeah, you got there. We
Okay.
thought, oh, does he have it? I don't remember him getting it, but he must have it. He's got the snipe here, and then you didn't have it, and yeah.
Yeah, that was a huge flip
Dang,
for sure.
okay.
yeah, just like lots of mistakes and like routing, like warping to the wrong places. I think that definitely like comes into play a lot. I had a lot of that this
Yeah.
match, like a lot of just confusion on like where I'm going and whatnot.
Yeah,
so,
it's tough, dude. Like I had a decent bit of it as well. Just like
yeah.
When it comes to the
Going
late
on.
game here, by the way, you're really hard committed to the Dragon bosses, Blanks, when it came to column 1, when it was, Led and her companions, Gravebird armor set, and Dragon bosses. Did you ever, at some point before Chris showcased the Gravebird armor set, consider that maybe Chris is working towards Enir Limb access to like just finish off those 2 squares?
Yeah, well, so I saw Perfume and I saw like the squares in the board.
Yeah.
So I saw Perfume and I'm like, okay, so he probably has Castle Front, which means that he has Prio on Death Knight because I skipped that Grace. And I like 7 minutes passed by. I'm like, wait a second, he's not marking Death Knight. What's happening? And then I'm like, oh wait, he's going for the double square. I thought personally what he was gonna do was like go for Death Knight and then like lock me out of Ender Limb, that way, like force me to rush there, and then maybe like split progress towards like Saint Trina. The 2 plays I had in my mind, like ones that hit like I don't know 8-9 minutes, I was like, okay, he's either doing Trina and he's like splitting progress towards that in Death Knight, or he's just rushing Ender Limb. So
Yeah, I
by that
just
point, it
knew
was
I
too
was the head to a near limb because I did, I went to Rao for the second hippo, so I was already
Yep.
like walked through there, and then I killed the Mesmer to get money to upgrade the perfume bottle.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I killed with that, so I was like pretty geared up. I'm like, okay, let me just finish these two because they're next to each other. And I know I'm ahead. I had a little bit of getting lost for one of the armor pieces, but I didn't. When I saw you mark the 3 dragon bosses, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
totally
maybe that
fine
was a
then.
mistake. I'm not too sure.
Dragon bosses do take a
I mean,
hot
I was
minute,
thinking about
but-
going for it, but then I saw
Yeah.
you kill Deathray Bird, and I was like, okay, so he just has priority on dragons. I'm not going to go for that at all.
Hmm,
So,
that's fair.
but I
That's
can see
fair.
why you went for it because it's like you're already there and everything. And like, if
Yeah,
I
I
was
kind
going
of
for
I
it,
kind of
then,
split it up because I made the read on either, like I said, Death Knight Trina or Anir Lim. So I'm like, okay, let me just split up dragon bosses and Deathrite Bird in case you maybe like were doing the same thing and you maybe killed like 1 or 2 dragons and then just like pivoted away.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Also, last question here for you guys, or at least for Chris here. You did Perfume versus Black Knight Idrid instead of Dane. Is it just because of comfortability of the moveset, or was it just because it seemed easier?
I mean, it just seemed easier. Like the Black Knight is more exploitable with the Charge R2s, and compared to Dane, kind of just powers through shit. But I don't know really the health differences between the two. I imagine Dane dies quicker, but he probably had a lot more poison resist because I used Tialier's poison. one.
Right. Right.
I don't know. I think it's similar times either way. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
don't
just
know.
curious because normally when a perfume bottle is brought up, a lot of people are like, "Oh, Dane!" Like it's like a no-brainer pick, Dane. So when you went for Idrid, it was just an interesting choice. I was just curious as to like why you leaned into that.
Yeah, it's
over...
probably worse to go for Idrid.
I don't know.
I liked it. I liked it. I
It
thought
seemed
was a
to
good
work
play.
out. Yeah, seemed to
Yeah.
work out just
I mean,
fine.
it works, but like Dane is probably faster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be. That's some testing that obviously you guys can do, and then we'll see. But
That's
yeah,
testing
let
somebody
someone else
else
do
can
it.
do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Someone else can test that, and I'll just copy it.
yeah. But
Any
yeah,
Hyperions in chat, dude?
true. With that being said, though, guys, GG's, man. If you guys have any questions
GGs.
for each other, though, you're more than welcome to ask them questions too. I'm not sure if you have any.
Not right now. I don't think. Let me. Oh, were
Well-
you? So you went to Bellerot. Were you going for Lion at all?
No. So I saw you marked Lion and Stew while I was like running up, and then I saw that you didn't do occultation right away. So I'm like, okay, if he doesn't do it after, and then I started going for ashes, and you got ashes. I'm like, okay, let me just go for occultation then. So yeah, I was kind of just like
Yeah.
trying to get information, see what you're doing. What were your ashes, by the way?
Well, so you get one from Chief Bloodfiend, which I learned when I checked my inventory on the way to the occultation.
That's really funny.
I was like, oh shit, or like on the way to running around, like, the chapel to East, like Church District. But yeah, I saw that I had that, and then I had Mesmer Soldier Ashes from Fort Reprimand, and then I grabbed the Fire Knight Hild in
Okay.
the
Yeah.
fort. And
Did
when
you-
I was grabbing that, I was like, if he doesn't mark Tree Sentinel, I'm just gonna go fight that right after. But then he
Yeah,
marked me,
yeah.
like just before I grabbed it, so I was like, okay, I grabbed the door in front of Mesmer and did something else.
Damn, I should have waited 10 seconds so you take the long elevator.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that being said, though, GG's, guys, this is the end of week 2 here. Chris now leaning into a 2-1 record. Blanks with the 1-2.
I'm 3-1.
Is it 3-1? Oh shit, my bad.
I had 3 matches this
And
weekend.
Blanks
yeah.
is now
It's at
2-2.
2-1. Oh, 3 matches this weekend. Oh shit, really?
Yeah. I
Damn.
played Parky, then Tom, then Blanks. So yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah, 3-1.
The
My
last
bad.
week I just had 1, so it evened
Yeah.
out.
Mhm.
Too many schedule changes, man. So much happening.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't.
But yeah, we'll
Except
see you
when it's
guys
early. Fucking
next
10
week,
a.m.
though, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I believe so.
Good.
I never
Probably.
Good.
Good. Yeah, I wish you best of luck, guys, in your matches next weekend. And thanks so much for playing today. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Okay.
Thanks for having
All
us,
right.
Dom.
No problem, man.
Poggers.
Thanks so much for playing, guys. Have a good one. Bye bye.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Ta-ta.
Ta 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 ta.
GGs.
Bye bye now.